We have all used calculator apps across various operating systems, but have you ever wondered how to build your own? I am Sadat Khan, and in this tutorial I will guide you through the process of creating a basic calculator using Java Swing, providing step-by-step instructions. By the end of this tutorial, you will be able to build your own calculator application. So let's get started. So first we are going to create a new Java project. We will go to File, then New, Java Project. Let's name that Calculator SK and click Finish. Now we will create the calculator class, naming this calculator, and we will name the package calc. I also want a main method to be created, so I will click this and click Finish. So this is our calculator class with the main method. So we have created a Java class calculator, and now let's see what are the things we are going to need first. First of all, we are going to need a frame for the calculator. So I'm going to declare the frame here. Frame. And let's make the modifier private. So it's now not recognizing the JFrame because we have to import the swing class first. So let's import the swing class over here. Okay, now it's now the red mark is gone. So we will also need a text field where the numbers and the results will be displayed. Then we will need a variable which will store which operator is clicked, and let's call that variable operator. So another thing we're gonna need right now is a double type variable which will store the operands or the numbers that we are gonna click. So we basically need more than one variable for the operands or numbers, as this app will do sequential calculation, but for now we can just declare one. So these are the four things that we can start with. So let's declare the text field. Text field. Text field. And also we have to import the text field class. So once we import it, this red sign is going to go away from there. So it's imported. Okay, now it's gone. We are going to declare the operator variable that will store the operator. Now we are going to declare the first operand variable. So I made all of this private. So one of the reasons we prefer the private modifier over the public is encapsulation, as it hides the internal details and will enforce access control so that other class cannot access or change our variable. So let's create the constructor now. So we will go public calculator. So I already declared the frame. Now I'm going to initialize it in the constructor. So frame equals to new JFrame. And let's call it Sarah's calculator. You can call it anything. Let's call it Sarah's calculator. So this is the title of the frame that I'm giving. It will be just written on the top of the frame. So we also want our calculator to be closed when we click the X button on the top right corner of the frame. So in order to do that, I'm going to call the set default close operation method. Default close operation. So what it will do is exit on close. So we already have it here, exit on close. Okay. So now let's set the size of our frame. So we write frame dot set size. So here we can see the method parameters have populated. So I'm going to use the argument width and height. So let's use this. And let's create it to be 500 and 800. So now let's create a layout for our frame. It will determine how our component will be added in the frame method. So we're going to call the set layout method. Layout. So we don't want it to be null. We are just going to use the border layout over here, and I'm going to show you why we'll use the border layout and how it works. So let's remove now. Also, you're seeing a red underline over here because we have to import a class for that. So let's import the border layout. Okay. So let's take a look at what the border layer is going to do to our frame. So the border layout is going to divide our frame into 5 sections: north, south, east, west, and center. So we can create a panel or any components, and we can instruct where we want the component to be in the frame. It can be north, south, east, west, or center. Now we're going to set the location of the frame. It means I want to specify where my calculator will pop up in the screen when I compile the code or when I run the code. So let's do frame dot set location. Let's set it to be 800 100. So we are almost done with the frame. So the last thing I want to do with the frame is set the frame visible so that it will show. So let's do frame dot set visible to true. Okay, so far we just have created the frame. So let's take a look at how our frame looks like. So I'm just going to do a new calculator over here. And now let's run the code. Okay, so this is our frame over here. This is our frame. So we haven't added anything over here. We're going to have to add panels and all the buttons over here. So far so good. So now let's create the text fields now. So the text field will be the display of the calculator, and it will go on the top of the calculator, which means the north of the calculator. So we have already declared the text field over here. Let's just initialize it over here now. So I'm going to write text field equals to new j text field. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set a font for the text on the text field and the size of the font, and then we're going to set an alignment in the display screen, and that alignment will start from the right. So our letter, whenever we press a button, the number will start getting into the display from the right side of the display. So if you see the calculator over here, that whenever we are clicking the number, it is generating from, so we will align to the right. So we will align the text like that. Oh my. And now we're going to set a preferred size for the text field, and we don't want the text field to be editable, so we have to also have to make sure that we do not we make sure that our text field is not editable, because the display shouldn't be. And that's basically all we're going to do with the text field. So let's get started. So do text field dot set font, new font. So here I'm going to give the name of the font, the formatting, and the size of the font. So let's be Arial. Font dot we have plain, and let's say the size is 70. So now we're going to align the text from the right end of the display. So text field dot set horizontal alignment right, swing constants right. So for the font, we are going to have to import the AWT. Okay, so here it is, awt.font. So we are going to set the preferred size of the text field now. Field dot set preferred size. So we will set it to 350 and 100. So we don't want it to be editable, so we're gonna set editable to false. Here we already have it populated over here. Okay. So basically our text field is done. So we are just going to have to add it to our frame now. So I'm going to do frame dot add text field. So here I just added the text field, but remember the frame has a border layout. So I will specify that I want the text field at the north end of the frame. So it will be on the top. So I will add comma border layout dot north. Also we have to import something for the dimension here, the Java AWT for the dimension. Okay. So now that we have added the text field, so we are going to have to add the buttons now. So in order to add a button, I'm going to create a panel, and I'm going to set all those buttons inside the panel. So let's create the panel for that panel. So let's write jpanel button panel equals to new jpanel, and I will import the jpanel. Now we are going to set the layout of the panel so that we can add the buttons over there. So now I don't want to individually add the button in the panel. and say that I want the button to be here, here, or at this coordinate, at this coordinate. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an array of the buttons, and I'm just going to lay it on the panel one by one. It will automatically sequentially place the buttons on the panel. In order to do that, I need to set a layout as a grid layout in our panel. So my panel has to have a layout that is called a grid layout. So what does a grid layout do? So let's take a look at this. So this is the panel on the bottom. That's going to be our panel in it. So it has grids in it. So that is the grid layout. So in a calculator, usually it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So something like that. And on the right hand corners, I'll give the operators over here. I'll give all the operators over here. So what will happen is when I set a grid layout and throw all the buttons, so it will set up like this. It will start filling from the top left corner, this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. So I have to create the array carefully so that the buttons are inserted correctly. So something like here I will have a 1, here I'll have a 2, or here I'll have a 3. So let's start from this row. So I'll have a 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And on this side I'll have the division sign, I'll have the multiplication sign, I'll have the minus sign, and I'll have the plus sign. And here I'll have the equal to sign over here. I will have the decimal over here and the 0 in this grid. And I'll just need a clear button. So let's put the clear button over here. So I'll create an array of buttons, and what will it do is it will start filling up the panel from the top left corner from here. So we know that a 7 will be here, 8 will be here, 9 will be here, and the division sign will be here. And once they fill up this row, they will start filling the second row. So it will be 4, 5, 6, and the multiplication sign over here. So I'm going to create my array like this. My array will start with a 7. So 7, 8, 9, division sign, then 4, 5, 6, multiplication sign, then 1, 2, 3, and the minus sign, and so on. So that's why the sequence of the numbers in the array is very important. Okay, so let's make the grid layout. Button panel dot set layout. I'm going to have to import something for this. Import the grid layout. So what these numbers means is it has 5 rows, it has 4 columns, and the vertical and horizontal space between the rows and columns is 10 and 10. So between the buttons there will be 10 pixels gap. So now let's create the array of strings. Like I said, I'll start with 7, 8, 9 and the division operator. So let's do that. Then I'll do 4, 5, 6 and the multiplication operator. Then I'll do 1, 2, 3 and the subtraction operator. and then goes the 0 decimal equal to and the plus. So 0. And the last one is the clear button. Okay, so there is a problem, it doesn't like it because I have to give an arrow sign over here. Let's give an arrow sign. Okay, perfect. So for the sake of understanding, I want to make it the format of our panel. So let's make it in the format of our panel. So in the first line, we will have 7, 8, 9 and the division mark. This will be the second row, this will be the third row, this will be the fourth, and in the fifth row, you only have this one. So now that we have created an array, we are going to add the buttons in our panel. So just so you know, we haven't created the buttons yet, we just have created the array. Now we are going to create the buttons. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to run a for each loop. So the for each loop is specifically used to print an array. It is an enhanced for loop. So let's do that. For so the loop will run until the length of the buttons string. This is the string we are putting in here, our array, the string array, and it will insert the text as a label on each of the buttons. So let's take a look at it. So this for loop is going to do a couple of things. Okay, this for loop is going to, first of all, is going to create a button one by one. In every iteration, it's going to create one button, and it's going to label it with our text. So the first one will be 7, and then it will set a font for that button label, and it will add the button in the panel. So every iteration will do these things. But last but not the least, we of course have to add an action listener to each button, because that will say that what the button will do once it is clicked. Okay, so let's do it. We create the button first. Button equals to new j button, and we want to label it text. Text means that whatever is on the string. So in this is the string array, this is the string array, and text is whatever is in that index of the array. So in the first index, the text is 7. In the second index, the text will be 8. In the third index, it will be 9. In the fourth index, it will be division, and so on. So we are going to have to import the button. Let's import it. Here it is. It's imported. So we have created the button, and we are going to set the font of the button now. So button dot set font. New font. Well, I'll have to delete that and put it in this bracket. New font. It will be Arial. It will be bold, and the size will be 40. And now we're gonna add the button in the panel. So button panel dot add button. Okay, so remember in the panel when we are adding the button, we don't have to specify where we want it, right? We don't have to say north, east, south, or any coordinate. Because it is a grid layout, right? It is a grid layout. It is automatically start from the top left corner of the panel and keep going. So once it puts in 5 components in the first row, it will move to the second component, or the fourth component, 4 components on the first row. It will move to the second row and again put 4 components there, and it will keep going until it reaches the fifth row. Okay, so it's here is showing a cross. We are going to have to put a bracket over here. So we have to do one more thing over here, the main thing. That is what will happen if we click the button, right? So when we click the button, what will happen? So for each button, we are going to have an action listener. So I'm just going to do it button dot add action listener. Delete the now. So I'm going to create a class called button click listener to define the action listener over here. So let's type the name of our class over here. For action listener, I'm going to insert the action listener over here. Okay, so let's add the action, import the action listener. So it wants to change me. It wants me to change that to action listener because I haven't created the class yet. So I don't need to because I'm going to create the class the button click listener. So let's see what it's gonna do. In the first iteration, for buttons, our text is going to be 7 because the index is 1 or index is 0 as array index starts from 0, so it's 0, and it will be here, so it will 7. So the text is going to be 7. So it's going to create a button with the label 7. Then it is going to set its font size and formatting, and then it's going to add the action listener, what the button will do when it is clicked, and at last it is going to add the button to the panel. So in the second iteration, the text is the index is going to be here and the text is going to be 8. It will create a button with the text 8. It will again set its font, and then it will again add an action listener to the button, and then it will add the button to the panel. So it will keep going on until it reaches the end of the array. So since I haven't created the action listener class yet, let's just make it invisible for now. So the last thing we have to do is we have to add the panel in the frame, and it will of course be out of the for loop. So it's going to be frame dot add button panel, comma, where do you want to add it? We want to add it. Remember, the frame is the border layout, right? Only the panel is grid layout, but the frame is border layout. So we will mention that we want it to be in the center of the frame. So border layout dot center. So let's take a look at our frame so far. So let's see what we have done. So I'm going to run the code now, and very likely I will be only seeing the frame and nothing at all. No buttons and no text field. So let's see. I'm going to run the code now. Okay, so you see it's just showing me the frame, and nothing else. So what is the reason behind this? So Java sometimes does that. So the reason is we are going to have to move this set visible and bring it over here. So because we want to set the frame to visible after we have added all the components to it, and that's when we will set it visible. So now let's take a look at the frame and let's run the program. Okay, so this is our frame. This is the user interface of the calculator. So even obviously if you press any button, nothing is doing right now because I haven't added the action listener yet. So next, right now I'm just going to create the new class called button click listener and implement the action listener over there. So far so good. We have the text field over here and we have all the buttons here. Perfect. So now we have created the user interface of the calculator. So when we are pressing this button, nothing is happening because it is just the interface. So let's change that. So I'm going to create the class button click listener, which will implement the action listener to the buttons. Let's write private class button click listener. It will implement the action listener interface. I'm implementing this interface because I will override a method of this interface. So let's override the method. So I'll do public void action performed action event e. So this is the method I will override. So let's introduce the variable command. So the pseudocode will be something like if command equals to plus, what will the button do? I mean, if command equals to minus, if the command equals to multiplication, if the command equals to division, what will the button do? So instead of using if else, if command is C, else if command is plus, if else command is minus, we are going to use the switch in. So I'm gonna write switch command. So the cases will be what will happen if command is C. This is one of the case. Then what will happen is command is plus. So I'll just copy all these things over here. Control C, Control V, and I will replace with minus, times, and division. So the last thing we have in the switch is what will happen if we are pressing the equal to button. So you can see that I have classified them. The cases separate, the operators are together separately, and the case of equal to sign is separate. This is because apart from the calculation, these buttons are going to do the exact same thing. But only when the button equal to sign is pressed, each of the button is going to perform, each of the signs is going to perform different calculations. So the first will perform a plus addition, the second will perform a subtraction, the third will perform a multiplication, and this one will perform a division. So I will write all the codes in here what each of the cases will do, but before that I will give the default code. So you'll see when we are running the program and we are clicking the button, nothing is shown in the text field. So let's change that. So that's where the default case comes in. So whenever we press a button, we want to set that text in the text field. So let's do that. Text field dot. Here the method parameter has been populated, so we can just click on set text. String is command. So let's give this for now. We have to do one more thing. Since we are using the action event argument, we are going to have we have to import it at the beginning of our code. So I'm going to import it over here. So now you see it's there. Okay. Okay, so now that I have added this command over here, what it will do, it will, whatever button I click, it is going to set the text of the text field to that button. But there is a problem with this. So this code is not entirely correct. So let's see what happens. So I'm gonna press 9 and this is gonna show 9. Then let's press 8. What is happening is it is replacing the 9 and getting 8. I press 7, it will replace the 8 and get 7, and so on. So we don't want it actually. We don't want to amend it, we want to append it. So it has to be appended. So every button has to be appended after each. So in that case what we will do is we will take whatever there is in the text field already and then append the command to it, then add the command to it to the right side of it. So let's add something here so that that is possible. So first we are going to get the text from the text field. So let's do that here. Text field dot get text plus command. So first it is going to get the text, whatever is in the text field, and it is going to append the command to the right side of it. So let's try it now. 987654321 So now it is appending the text. So it already has whatever there is in the text field and it is adding the numbers that I'm pressing. So that is good enough. Okay, so now let's do the main thing, the computation. So what will be the C button doing? What will the C button do in this case? So the C button will, whenever we press the C button, it will clear the text field. So set text, set field. So we are gonna write first text field dot set text to basically nothing, this. Then it will reset everything. It will reset all our variables. So the variable that we have first is first operand. It will reset the first operand to 0. Okay, and also it will make our operator variable null. So this is basically what C will do. So we are gonna break it. So that's what C is gonna do. So let's see what will happen whenever we click the operator buttons. So if the command is one of the operator, we are going to store that command in the variable operator first. Let's do that. Operator equals to command. Then whatever number we have clicked before our operator, that will be stored in the first operand variable. So it's gonna be first operand. So whatever is in the text field, right? Dot get text. It is a string. Whatever is in the text field is saved as a string. So here is an issue. First of all, the first operand is a double type variable, and we can only store double numbers in this operand, and we don't want to store a string over there because we will use this variable to store the numbers that we want to operate on. So can we add strings? We cannot add strings, right? We cannot add a plus b. We can only add numbers. So we have to convert this string into double. So in order to store it in first operand, first we have to parse it to double. So let's write the command. So we are gonna write double dot pers double. Okay, and we will write here whatever is in the text field. We will get whatever is in the text field. So now what we did is we got whatever is in the text field, we convert it to double, and then we store it to the first operand. And after that we will delete whatever is in the text field so that we can enter the second number. So let's do text field dot set text to basically nothing. So whenever any of the operator is clicked, this is going to be implemented. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it from here, and I will paste it just below the operator in here, all the operators in here. So no matter what the operator is, this is the action that it will take. Then I'll break this case, and let's move on to the next case, equal to sign. So first of all, when are we going to press the equal to sign? So first we will enter a number. Suppose we enter 5. Then we will enter plus or any operator, and then we will enter another number, and at last we will enter, then we will click the equal to sign, equal to button. So when the equal to button is clicked, it will do a couple of things. So first it will create it's another variable called second operand. So the second operand variable will store the number that we have entered after clicking the operator. So let's create the variable double second operand equals to. So again we have to parse it, because whatever in the text field is a string, and we have to parse it to double and then store it in second operand. Then we will create another variable called result. This is because it will do the computation, and then it will store the result in the variable result. So now we have to do another switch, that is switch operator. So if before we pressed the plus, if operator is plus, it will add the first and second operand and store it in the variable result, and then it will break. So I will just copy and paste it 3 more times. So now what happens if the operator is a minus? It will subtract the second operand from the first operand and then store it in the result. Similarly, if it is a multiplication, it will perform a multiplication, and if it is a division, it is tricky over here. So suppose it's gonna divide the first number by the second number, but here's a catch over here. So we know that we cannot divide by 0, so we are going to introduce a condition over here. So I will write if second operand equals to 0 is not equals then perform this, otherwise perform this nan. So this is called a ternary statement in Java. What it means is that it will execute this operation only if this condition is true. If this condition is not true, it will execute this. So it will show an error in the display if the second operand is 0, because we cannot divide by 0. So our calculation is done. Now we have to display it in the text field. So what we can write, text field dot set text, maybe result. So we are setting the text to result, but it doesn't like it. Why it doesn't like it? Let's take a look. Result is a double, right? Result is a double, and in text field we can only set string. So it will only take a string. So let's convert it to string. Let's convert the result to string. So all we have to write is string dot value of result. And now we will make the operator null because we are done working on it. So looks like we are almost done with the calculator, and let's see how it works. So let's run the program. So let's do some calculation. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, so 9, we're gonna do C. 9 divided by 2, 4.5. Now let's see if it can do sequential calculation. So let's do 3 plus 3, we got 6, and now plus 3, we got 9. So it's okay, it can do sequential calculation. But there is only one little thing that I want to change, because if you see that after we get the result, suppose we do 9 divided by 3, or we do 8 divided by 4. Okay, so 8 multiplied by 4, we get 32. So now if I want to do a new calculation, I have to press the C button, because if you see 8 divided by 4 equals to 2. Now if I want to start a new calculation, suppose 9 divided by 3, and I click on 9, it is going to append with it. So what I want it to do is, after it displays the result, if I click another button, it will clear the text field automatically and start a new calculation. So that's what I want to do. So let's see how we can work on that. So in order to do that, we have to create a flag, and we have to track if the result is displayed. If the result is displayed, and after that if another button is clicked, the text field is going to be cleared and a new calculation will begin. So let's do that. So let's create a variable with the boolean value. Let's type it private boolean is result displayed. So we are going to start with false. Is false. So in every case it is going to be false except when the equals to button is clicked, because only then the result will be displayed. So I'm just going to copy this here and paste it in the cases. So I will paste it here first. Then here. So they're all false, but this one over here, this one is going to be equal to true because the result is displayed now after we click the equals to sign. So let's do this in the default and code if what will happen if the result is displayed. So if is result displayed, if it is true, text field, the first thing it's going to do is set the text field to nothing. It will clear the previous result and set itself to false again. Remember, this step is very important because it has to be reset to false every time it has turned to true. So we're gonna do here set field text field dot set text this. So this should be good now. Let's take a look at our calculator. So let's do 8 divided by 4. We have 2. Let's do a sequential calculation. Plus 6. We have 8. And now I want to start a new calculation without pressing the button C. So let's do 8 divided by 4 again. Perfect, it's working. Let's do maybe 6 times 2, 12. 4 minus 2, 2. 8 plus 4, 12. So this is working perfectly. So the one last thing I want to show you is that instead of creating the calculator instant like this, I'm going to write a different way. I'm going to write it in a different way. So it will be swing utilities dot invoke later. Here I already have it. Here I will create the calculator instant. So I will remove this. So I'm using this line to ensure that the instance of calculator class is created and executed on the event dispatch thread. It is also known as EDT in Java Swing application. We use invoke later to ensure that the calculator constructor runs safely on the EDT. So it is very important because Swing is not thread safe. This means that if multiple threads interact with Swing components simultaneously, it can lead to unpredictable behavior, data corruption, or application crashes. So that's why Swing components like JFrame, JButton, and JTextField must only be accessed or modified on the event dispatch thread, known as EDT. So let's try to run the program. So we have 6 divided by 4 plus 3 times 2 or 4 minus 10, 8. So now we want to start a new calculation. 8 times 2 plus 6 minus 2 divided by 10. So this is how you develop a basic calculator. I went very slow to provide step-by-step instructions, focusing on each steps. How this will help you understand, hope this will help you understand a part of the object-oriented programming and how we can develop our own applications.